Hey everybody, Z Garcia here, and welcome back to Board Game Blender. Today we are wrapping up our trilogy of Reduce, Reuse, Recycle episodes with our Recycle episode. And here's what we mean by this. A game that uses something that's been done before and repurposes that, sometimes for greater effect, and we'll mostly be focusing on that, sometimes not. But it's basically themes you've seen before or mechanisms you have seen before, taken, adapted slightly, but largely reused for a new game. That's not a bad thing, right? Someone smarter than I has said that the best formula, the winning formula for a new design is tried and true mechanisms and one new concept, one really revolutionary idea. Too many new concepts, something that is wholly original, is going to confound people, is probably not going to find success, and then something that is completely recycled, of course, we've seen before. So, hopefully you discover some neat games here. Maybe there's a game that you know and like, and you'll hear in the episode something that is kind of similar, that recycles some of those ideas, but maybe you'll end up liking the new selection better. So I hope you enjoy the episode. I'll see you in just a little bit. Have fun.
Hey everyone, my name is Chris and this is the Teacher's Lounge. Now if you're like me, you've been wasting a ton of your time on the new Ganz Schön Clever app. But also if you're like me, you teach a lot of games to your friends and to your family, so the Teacher's Lounge is where we give teaching recommendations to you. Today we're talking about themes that are common, very frequently used themes, but a game that implements that theme in a very special or well-executed way. So today I'm talking about this game here, Black Orchestra. Black Orchestra takes place during World War II in Nazi-occupied Germany, a theme that we've seen in many games, and board games, video games, novels, movies. It's a very common theme, but Black Orchestra carries this out in a very unique way. Players take the role of co-conspirators who are part of the German government, armed forces, and intelligence agencies who are trying to carry out assassination plots on Hitler between the years of 1939 through 1945. So this game has a heavy theme that's maybe not for everybody, and I understand that, but it paints people within Germany in a more positive light. Some of these people that we might not hear about through the history books, and it gives us more of a well-rounded view of that time period. So for that reason, I think that this game implements that theme in a very cool way that we don't see in a lot of other places, maybe in the movie Operation Valkyrie, right? But this game is quite thematic then, and I think it looks thematic, right? It doesn't necessarily have the most streamlined rules, but it's not bad, it's not too hard to learn. So my teaching recommendation with this and with many other highly thematic games is to parse out what are the rules that you need to teach up front versus what are the rules that you can hold off until later. As I've taught this game to several people now, I know, hey, you know what actions are super important to teach are your basic turn. You're moving around, you're revealing items in these spots, being able to pick up these items and place them onto your character, drawing cards. Some of them are going to be assassination plots that you'll need these items to execute, or these cards that will just be special actions you can take. However, there are several things that don't need to be taught immediately, right? You can be arrested in this game, but that will never happen in the first round. This symbol here, a very small symbol, shows that it doesn't start until the second round of the game, meaning you have this many turns of the first round before that's even a concern. So I don't teach the rules for how can you get arrested, or if you do get arrested and sent to the prison, what are the negative consequences? Don't worry about that. Eventually, right, you'll have to draw one of these cards, one of these German secret police cards, and resolve one of these very negative effects. But until the second round, it's not even a concern at all. And until someone does finally actually get sent to prison, these cards, not a concern. So I don't teach those at the beginning. Likewise, the map expands out, and you can simply explain, hey, while we're in the first round, we are in these areas marked 1 only, right? In the 7th round, in the 7th age of the game, there's actually a card that it is randomly shuffled in here, and when it gets revealed, it says, you're found out, the plot is foiled, and the game ends. Well, people don't need to know about that before they even start the game. There's a lot of turns between here and there. So parse out what rules need to be taught and which things you can kind of hold off a little bit until you worry about those. Don't worry about that until round 5 or 6 maybe. So overall, I like this game a lot. It is very dice driven. It's very lucky. I don't tend to like a game where literally a die roll determines whether you win or not. But that's how hard it was to carry out these plots. So I like that the theme is well integrated, and like many thematic games, you can figure out when the rules need to be taught for certain things. So check this game out, right? If the theme sounds interesting to you, if it sounds intriguing, if you like cooperative games, then this is a very nifty, a very unique one. I hope that you like that teaching recommendation. You can respond below, and in the comments, I'll be responding under the name Meeple Overboard. That is a podcast that my wife and I do together. We have a YouTube channel as well. So I hope to see you around. Thanks for watching.
Howdy folks, welcome to the two-player Showdown. I'm Hunter. Today we're talking about overused themes, and the theme we're talking about is farming.
Holy Pa! I just came in from the harvest. We got a good crop this year.
What do you got, Ma? Let me see.
Well, let me see. We have some Agricola, all creatures big and small. We got us some clans of Caledonia. We got us some fields of green. And we've got some, heavy lifting today. Here we got some Caverna, the cave farmers, and the fields of Arl.
Ooh, that's a lot of games, Ma.
There are an awful lot of farming games these days. Aren't you sick of playing them?
Gosh, no, I love me some farming. In fact, I got a joke to tell you how much I love farming. You hear about the chili pepper that crossed with a shovel, that crossed with a terrier?
No, I have not. What
We
happened?
got a hot diggity dog.
Wow. So, viticulture is missing from this table, and there's a lot of great farming going on before you do all that wine making.
Viticulture is too highfalutin for this list. In fact, do you know what farmers say when they're milking cows?
What?
Utter nonsense.
Wow.
In all seriousness, farming games let you do something you can't do in the real world. Grow crops, raise animals, make produce.
But people do those things in the real world.
Salute! So, Ma, what's your favorite farming game? Don't say viticulture.
Well, let's see. Out of these, I'm going to go with the clans of Caledonia here.
Of course, you picked the one hardest to get to.
Of course. This one, you get to raise crops and you have to watch where you grow things and you get bonuses off of what you do and your neighbors and stuff. Really like this game. It's very fun. That's Caledonia.
It's alright, but my favorite farming game is viticulture.
What?
Cool catchphrase!
Hey folks, welcome to my walking adventures in and around Colorado. I'm Mark Streed, and this is Ramblings. So, what is it about the zombie story that folks find so tiresome or just grown to the point where they hate even? Is it the brain-eating zombies? Because ultimately at its core, it really is a survival story. You know, you against insurmountable odds, and you and your group against those odds. Just a horde of, just what shouldn't be possible, but might end up just this fantastic adventure against never-ending zombie hordes. Again, that's just a survival part of it. But there's all kinds of different directions we can go with this. I think he's seen better days. So one of my favorite zombie games is Hit Zeroed. Now this has a super unique theme. You're on a family road trip across the country in the middle of the zombie apocalypse. Regardless of what you think about the game, the theme is fantastic. A better use of the zombie theme, perhaps. Just something more lighthearted, if you could do that in the zombie apocalypse. I really like this game. But I think we could stand to see a lot more creative uses of the zombie theme and still keep it up front and fresh for everyone. Zombicide Black Plague is another of the zombie games that I really enjoy. And, you know, the thing about that game is that I love the medieval aspect of it. I love the cooperative nature, all of us against the giant zombie hordes. I find that super intriguing, and I think the medieval theme is what sucked me in because I was not a big fan of the original Zombicide, but I do love this Black Plague theme. It's just so rich. And my co-host Randy, who hates zombie-themed games, also, he really likes Black Plague because it's not relying heavily on a zombie virus theme. It's using black magic. Necromancers have brought about these unholy creatures, and he can wrap his head around that better than it being a virus. Another possible unique twist on the zombie theme would be everyone playing as scientists, battling the virus itself. That could be really a unique zombie theme in a board game. I would love a full-on story-driven zombie adventure game where, again, it's not just about zombies attacking, brain-eating, blah, but it's something story-driven where you're living through almost like not an RPG, but something, just an adventure board game where maybe it incorporates things like sneaking around. And of course, we can't forget Dead of Winter. I mean, it is the classic zombie everything that you expect from a zombie experience in this game. You've got the survival story, you've got a camp that's surrounded, and you have to deal with humans who might be traitors. And what is the deal with zombie games and zombie shows and zombie stories when you see this use of a sound weapon that distracts them all, but they use it maybe once? This seems like to be a staple. Everything you do in the zombie universe, you would have these zombie sound grenades that you could throw and easily move through a population of zombies because they're so loud, they're going to draw all the attention. It seems like the ultimate weapon. Yeah, I don't understand. Use sound grenades. So, the questions of the week. If you do currently find yourself in the mode of I hate zombie-themed games, what is it about those games and that theme that you really hate? And what would it take to bring you back to the table for a zombie-themed game? And for those of you who enjoy zombie-themed games, tell me what are some of your favorites? I think there's a lot of choices out there with some unique things going on. So tell me in the comments below. So I hope you found this to be another fun ramblings episode. I'm going to be doing a lot more of this. I'm going to be adventuring all over Colorado. So definitely tune in for next time. And until next time, we'll see you at the table.
Are you filming today?
Yep, I'm just setting up here.
Well, what's the episode about?
Well, the title of the show is Recycle, and people are going to be talking about themes that have been used over and over again. So I was thinking about doing something with racing, because I
Racing?
remember...
I can do that, I can do that.
Wait! Well, I don't know where my mother went, but anyway. Hello, friends of the blend, and welcome back to Retro Board Game Corner. The title of today's show is Recycle. I'm going to be talking about a theme that has been used over and over again, especially in retro games, and that's racing. One of the first board games that I got was High Gear, published in 1962 by Mattel. My mother bought me this at a garage sale when I was 3 years old, and I didn't know how to read, so all I would do was just sit down and spin these gears round and round. It wasn't until 20 years later that I pulled this out and actually learned how to play the game. Let me set this up and show you how it works. So this is what the game board looks like set up. Now at the core, this is actually a racing game. You're trying to get your 4 colored pegs from the start cog all the way through to high gear. At the beginning of your turn, you will stick your peg at the start space. You will then spin the spinner and consult the number and stick your finger here like an old rotary phone and just go until you hit the stop post. Your peg is now in that position. If on later turns you have more pegs available, before you spin the spinner, you have to put a new peg on the start space. You do that every single one of your turns until all 4 pegs are out on the board. On each turn, your goal is to line up the holes with your peg, like this. When this happens, you advance your peg to the next cog. When you spin the spinner, you don't have to take the whole number that you spun. For example, if I spun a 6 and I'm only 4 spaces away from the next cog, I can do it only 4 spaces. I can either move it clockwise or counterclockwise. In this example, I'll go counterclockwise 4 spaces. I'm now lined up with the next cog and I can advance. If ever another player is trying to advance to the next cog and there's a different colored piece there, that piece is removed and given back to the player that it belongs to. You advance to the next cog and that player has to start all over from the first cog. If you're playing pieces on the 4th cog and you have all 3 holes lined up, you can just go ahead and advance all the way to the 6th gear. There's 3 special abilities on the spinner. Take an extra turn, which is just take an extra turn. Turn the high gear, which is right here, and you're going to turn the number that you landed on, or less, that many times, and you count it out. Or hold the clutch, where you hold the clutch down as you're spinning whatever number you landed on, or less, like so. Everything else moves but the clutch. The first person to get 4 of their pegs up here on high gear first wins the game. With over 35,000 possible cog combinations, it wouldn't be a good idea to play this with somebody that has analysis paralysis.
Did I win the race?
That wasn't the kind of race I was talking about. I'm showcasing high gear.
I remember you used to spin this for hours.
Yes, I know. May your rolls be high.
Hey there, friends of the blend. This is Chris and Lindsey from Behind the Box, and today we're here to talk about a theme that's found a lot in board gaming, and that's detective stories.
So our first ever detective game was Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective. Since playing that, we've played many others, games like Deception and Witness and Beyond Baker Street and tons more, and there's loads of others that we really, really want to play. Now, the general gist of games like this is that you get given a case, some sort of crime like a murder or a theft, and you need to solve it by going to locations, questioning witnesses, finding evidence and clues, putting it all together, and then at the end of the game, answering those questions of who did it, why did they do it, and we love this type of game.
But who doesn't like feeling like an amazing detective genius? And the nice thing about these games is quite often they're cooperative, so it does give you a chance to be cool in front of your friends and have that aha, eureka moment where you solve the case and then they can celebrate with you.
So, yeah, the theme has been used quite a bit, but we still really enjoy it. And I think it helps that in a lot of these games, the cases are one-time uses. You play it, you know the answers, you can't really go back to it again. Mm-hmm. So having more and more games constantly be released that use this theme is great for us.
Yeah, and I also really like the direction that the genre's going in. You know, we recently played a game of Chronicles of Crime where they have these 3D glasses that you can put on your mobile phone, and then you can actually go to the crime scene and do your observations that way to help you solve the crime. And there's a new game that's come out that we haven't played yet called Detective, where instead of relying completely on these fictional case notes to do all of your solving, you can actually use real life information, so you can go on the web and do your research that way, which is great. And they actually did a playthrough of it, a little demo with some actual police detectives or police officers, and they loved it, and they said it's actually quite realistic, so that's great too.
Yeah, and that's really exciting to us, because we are really happy with the idea of implementing technology into board games. We understand it doesn't appeal to everyone, and it's not needed all the time, but in cases like this, that is so exciting for us. And while Sherlock Holmes is always going to have a special place in our hearts, and we would always recommend that game to people and that they check it out, it is exciting to see the future of detective themes.
What are your thoughts? Are you a big fan of detective games, or are you a little tired of that genre now? Let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear your opinions. And if you're interested in any more board game chats with us and discussions, you can always check out our social media. But until then, we'll see you next time. Bye!
Bye!
Hi everybody, my name is Stephanie.
And I'm Shelby.
Today we're talking about themes that get repeated over and over.
We picked trains.
Yay!
The first train-themed game we ever got was Ticket to Ride.
We also have Unlock Secret Adventures Tombstone Express.
But our favorite train-themed game is Colt Express.
So today we're making a cake that looks like the train from Colt Express. It even lights up and has popcorn smoke.
This one's so cool.
All right, we have so much to show you, so let's get started.
Okay, here we go. We've already baked our chocolate cakes, and we're going to start filling them with a thin layer of chocolate ganache and then a layer of peanut butter frosting.
This cake is so good. It tastes like a Reese's peanut butter cup. Next, I'm cutting out circles to create the cylinder part of the locomotive. I fill the cakes with ganache and I just stack up the circles.
And then I move the cylinder-shaped cakes over onto the train.
In this game, the bandits move up, down, and across the train cars stealing loot, so we need to make another cake. This one is going to be a train car.
Okay, let's cover our cakes in fondant. Our locomotive is getting covered in black fondant and the train is getting covered in a light brown.
Let's decorate it. To match the locomotive on the cover of the game, we need a door and some wheels.
The wheels were made by cutting out circles of fondant, and then we painted them with silver food coloring. We got those onto the cake, and then I moved on to the chimney. The chimney was hand modeled out of fondant, and then I pushed it down into the cake.
This is a really cool part of the cake. It actually lights up.
Yep, it needs to light up, so I'm adding a small light right on the front of the cake, and then I'm hand painting more details in gold food color.
Back to the train car. This car needs to look like wood, so we're creating some wooden planks.
And then I airbrush it to make it look more realistic. And next I'm adding the train car's windows.
My favorite part, the steam.
To create the steam, we dipped popcorn in white chocolate candy melts and attached them to a foil-covered wire that I inserted into the chimney.
Break time! Next, I'm making a chocolate ladder and cacti? I melted some candy melts and squeezed it into some candy molds and voila!
Let's put it all together. We're attaching our chocolate pieces and we cannot forget about the loot.
The player with the most loot at the end of the game is the winner.
This is Cheyenne. She is a pickpocket. You better stay away from her.
We're adding more loot and then we're finished. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed our video.
If you would like to see even more details on the making of this cake, you can find that over on our own YouTube channel. I'll be updating that soon. And also, if you have any ideas or suggestions for us, please let us know over on Twitter or Instagram.
See you later.
Bye.
For today's game Under the Radar, we're taking a look at Cthulhu. Don't go away. Hold on. So there's a lot of Cthulhu games out there, but our game here, Fate of the Elder Gods, is going to be different from many of them, in my opinion. there's a few things that make this different, okay? First and foremost, this is one of those games in which you are cast not as the heroes of the story, but instead as the bad guys, the cultists. You are trying to summon an elder god. And yeah, sure, there's been other games that have done that before, so that's not entirely original to this one. However, what I think does make this game really stand out from those other games, and really most Cthulhu games, is that they tend to fall in one of two camps. They are either fully thematic, right? American-style games, lots of dice chucking, lots of combat and that sort of thing, and they live very much in that camp. Or they are very much firmly planted in the other camp. Straight up Euro games, lots of mechanical decisions, trying to simply outsmart your opponents. In this game, you are going to have a very real balance of those two things. You see, you are going to be using cards, spell cards here, to move around the board and move the Cthulhu figure, the marker piece, a wonderful miniature here, to different locations and trigger actions at those locations. They are very much Euro-style game actions. Draw more spells, draw more cultists, redeploy your cultists to sort of play a area majority style aspect to the game. Watch out for the investigators. Maybe send the investigators to your opponents, that sort of thing. But there is also going to be dice rolling and the spells themselves. You are going to ready these spells and trigger them later on to both mess with your opponents and move yourself farther ahead. There's even this idea is even reflected in the winning conditions for the game. You see, everybody has an elder god. I have here in front of me Cthulhu, for example, and this is the elder god I'm trying to summon. But the winning conditions are twofold. I can either play the Euro game, if you would, and attempt to move a marker piece that goes on here, this little wood marker, all the way around this track, all the way back to the 9, and if I do so, I win. The way you do this is, again, spell manipulation, area majority control, that sort of thing. The other way to do it is by gathering enough of these elder signs and giving them to other people, that is, that the investigators are hot on their trail, and these are going to fill up this way, and when one is finally placed here on the starting spot, that player is eliminated, and we check who has the fewest of these elder signs, and that player is going to win. That style of play is very much take that, very much in your face. It's going to appeal to those people who like to enjoy those styles of games, those dice chucking, haha, I got you kind of games. And so this really does live, in my opinion, in both camps. And it does a good job of allowing you to do both. And largely, needing you to do a little bit of both at least. But really giving you lots of choices. I enjoy it. It's captivating, and never mind the production quality here, which is spectacular. The pieces are great. Card quality is fantastic. You even get these gorgeous engraved dice that you are going to be playing with. So the whole thing really stands out for me for having something we've seen before that then gets turned on its head and casts you as the bad guys of the story, and then really finds the ability to balance two styles of games very well. So if you've not heard of Fate of the Elder Gods, if maybe you looked it over, this is a good one. Unfortunately, I believe it is quite a pricey game, but it is a fun game. It's one I have not heard a lot of people talking about. It's one I've never seen out being played. And I'm not sure why. Cthulhu is so extremely popular, right? The theme here. And this game is something that feels engaging and interesting. And I could see it going over well with lots of different kinds of players. They'll find the thing in it that they like. So there you go. That is Fate of the Elder Gods for Under the Radar. Definitely would recommend it. Look into this one, folks, and summon some Elder Gods, because that's really that's the best thing you can be doing right now. I'm out. I'll see you.
Hi, welcome to Bickering Over Board Games, where we talk about topics, trends, and things in board gaming and how we feel about them.
So the topic for this week is recycle, and I'm going to be honest with you. We shot reduce, reuse, and recycle all in one day.
You can't tell because we changed clothes.
We're professionals. Because I'm going on an internship to Fort Collins, so my wife and I are going to be apart for the summer, so we wanted to get a bunch of blenders done, and there's no notes yet for recycle, so we don't actually know where Z's going with this one yet.
They're all made of cardboard, and that's recyclable.
Yeah.
But what we thought we were going to talk about is not literal recycling. Maybe this is literal recycling.
It is.
This is a different conversation.
Okay.
Trading games and math trades in particular. So the thing about a math trade, if you've never done, basically you just create a list of games that you would be willing to trade for X game, and then it can create a string of trades. So you don't actually literally trade to Joe for Gruff, but that's what you want, and this goes to somebody else, goes to somebody else, goes to somebody else, that comes back to you.
Yeah.
It can be great. First of all, you can get really imbalanced trades.
Yeah.
But nobody got anything they didn't ask for along the way. So the thing to remember is that there's a strong likelihood that you will get the thing that you want the least, is what you will get.
Yeah, that's usually, I think last year when you were doing it, you marked some really crazy trade, like a game you can carry in your pocket for the gallerist, and there was no way we were going to get it, but it was just worth throwing it out there.
Mm-hmm. And if you really want to get that, pull that off, just only trade for the crazy things, and it might work out.
Kind of like the same as a clothing swap, and if you have a dress that you're really attached to, you don't just want to donate it to the DI,
right?
Deseret Industries, we live in Utah, and see who gets it.
Yeah.
Like you want to give it to someone you know is going to appreciate it.
Taking a game that you don't want anymore to a thrift store feels like putting a baby in a river, right? It feels like they're gonna treat you badly. They're gonna lose the pieces.
Well, no, I mean in the Bible they put that baby in the river, and he ended up being great.
Yeah, but I'm just saying it didn't probably feel good for the person who did it, right?
Yeah. True.
I mean, plus, who knows how many babies ended up in rivers that didn't end up being Moses? That was Moses, right?
I think it was Moses.
Anyway, the point is, it feels so much better trading it to a friend. It's a great way, getting back to reduce and reuse, it's a great way to cull your collection, make sure you have just the games you love. You know, that's the thing about board games. You can like it a lot, but you want to play it again and again, and then you're like, is this getting stale for me, or am I loving this more and more?
Yeah.
And
it's nice to have that out option. I know for me, that's a big factor when we decide to spend, $100+ on a game. The fact that there might be something to do with it afterwards, and it's not going to be something that we carry with us for the rest of our lives.
So trade your games. It is fun. It honestly becomes a game in and of itself.
But recycling in a smart way and making sure that, if you have a copy of the game that you're not that big of a fan of and your buddy who you game with wants that game, then see if you can find a way to give it to them. I mean, you'll still get to play it.
I think a game swap is a great idea, like a clothing swap.
Mm-hmm.
Not a math trade, but everyone comes and they have games that they're maybe willing to trade, and you can talk about it.
And if you're trading within your game group, you're going to get to play those games again.
Oh, I would like to trade for your copies of expansions to Time Stories. You don't need them anymore. You've played it already, and we need them. And I cannot believe how expensive those things are, even in the secondary market. So if you'd like to trade, my BGG name is Galaxy Bear, and I'll trade you this copy of Gruff.
We'll find something else, don't worry.
All right.
I don't know. Okay.
Seriously, I'm not kidding.
We need those.
Yes.
Badly. Before next Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
Hi everyone, and I am Nora here. And today we are going to talk about a theme that has been used so many times that it causes us to fall asleep in our chairs instead of having fun. So, luckily there are so many teams that have been overdone that I had enough to choose from.
But why can't we just play a fun game? Why should we play a game that you think is boring?
Don't you worry, Nora. I still picked a game that I thought did this theme pretty well. The theme that we're going to talk about is a building theme, the medieval city building theme.
So we're gonna build?
Yes, we're gonna build.
But actually the only thing I want to build is a sandwich.
This is not a cooking show, Nora. We're talking about board games.
But a sandwich?
No! We are not going to play this one. We're also not going to play that one. are we going to play? No, we're not going to play that game. Maybe Queen Domino. No, we're not going to play Queen Domino. Are we going to play New York 1901? No, that would also be a boring theme.
Anna, what game are we going to play?
Okay, I will not longer leave you in suspense. We are going to play Quadropolis, because that game takes the medieval theme to the 21st century by adding skyscrapers.
Woo!
So, in Quadropolis, we are going to build our own little city, and we're going to be the mayor of that city. And people that live in your city, what do you want when you live in a city, Nora?
To have a pretty house.
Yes, so we're going to build very pretty houses. What do you want to see when you look out of your pretty house?
Nature?
Yes, so it's very important to build parks near your houses. But you cannot build those houses and those parks if there are no shops and no harbors to get the money rolling. So you have to try to get all of this in your city, remembering that people do not want to look out onto the harbor and all of the factories, but you still need those to produce everything that you need.
Wow.
As we all know, we cannot build a city alone on rock and roll, so we need tiles to build our city. And these tiles are going to go on this generic player board, and every round, we're going to play 4 rounds, we are going to be putting down new tiles. Nora, the game is not Meeple Circus. We are not going to be putting down those meeples into a circle. So Nora, I just gave you these tiles, and those are your workers. And with those workers, you can take the city tiles from the board. And how you're going to do this, you are going to be picking one of these workers, and then you're just going to put him onto a corner. And the number is going to tell you which one you're going to be allowed to take. So if you would take worker number 4, you can take 1, 2, 3, 4, this building. If you take the number 1, you're going to have to take the first one. And in that way, you can predict which tiles you're going to be able to take. If you take with the number 4, you can see that on your score sheet or on your building sheet, there are also all these numbers. So if you have taken something with your first worker, you have to put it in column or row 4. We're now in the second round, and I already have a beautiful city. Nora only has harbors. And now I am looking what I want. No!
What's wrong?
Don't talk to me, I'm busy. I'm trying to calculate things. I cannot think with you jabbing in my ear.
What? Sorry, what?
Go away! Go away! Okay, we're now in the last round, and I have this beautiful line here of harbors, which is going to score me full points. Nora, what were you doing?
I have a beautiful variation of parks, and tower blocks, and shops, and factories, and people. So I'm very happy.
Yes? Do you think you're gonna win?
I don't know if I can get what I want.
We just tallied up all our points, and I cannot believe this, guys, but I am on a winning streak! I won again! I won Quadropolis, I built the most beautiful city. Okay, granted, I don't have any parks, so I don't think anybody wants to live in my city, but it did score me the most points. Nora, what do you think of the game?
Well, okay, I didn't win, but I actually really like the game. It's really, really good.
Yeah? What did you like about it?
Well, just, I don't know, you can just build your own city, and I liked that I could look at the variation and just, yeah.
Do you think it was easy to understand?
Yes.
Yes?
And next time I will win.
Yeah, you want to play this next time? You want to play this a second time? Is that a promise? You want to play a game again?
And that's going to do it for us, everybody. A big thanks to all the contributors, of course. Big thanks to you for tuning in, checking this out. Thanks for watching. And we're going to see you again in a couple of weeks for our next episode. As always, thanks again. And hey, stay a friend of the blend. I'll see you.